All right, so I think we can probably get started. It's nice to see everyone. Good evening. Thanks for joining us today. So I guess we'll start off with just kind of talking about how we'll go through this meeting. First I'll do a round of introductions from the SEPTA team. We'll kind of go over our strategic plan, our strategic vision for SEPTA Forward, and how it sets up these kinds of transformative projects we'll be talking about today. And then we'll finally dive into regional rail, and talk about, kind of go further into our discussions with the breakout rooms. So you can go to the next slide, Christoph. So I'm Claudia Leaf. I'm the Deputy Project Manager for Reimagining Regional Rail, on the SEPTA side. And the team is made up by myself, Ryan Judge, our Director of Strategic Planning, and Jody Holton, who is our Chief Planning and Strategy Officer at SEPTA. So the meeting today, if you go to the next slide, it'll be an interactive meeting. Outside of the breakout rooms, we'll do live polling. So we'll be asking a question, it'll show up on your screen, and then we'll ask you to vote. And then we'll also be using the chat function. So feel free to ask any questions as we're going through the presentation today. So then to start off, we kind of have that first question, which is going to be, we really want to find out what set of services you use at least once a week, just so we can get a feel for the room. So if you guys go ahead and just vote on the screen that shows up on your screen, we'll give it a few seconds. I actually can't see it. So if whoever can see it, let me know when you feel like we've got a good number of responses, we can go ahead.
I am having a little bit of an issue with the poll.
Got it.
Give me just 1 second. We might have to just do this verbally if people want to tell us in the chat how it is that you use SEPTA.
Great.
Yeah, maybe everyone can just type in the chat which SEPTA services you use.
40 bus. Thanks, Patricia.
Wow, I was like, well, only one rider.
Here it all comes. Here it's all coming in.
Awesome. Okay.
Find the chat. 13 trolley, regional rail, media and Elwyn, Route 13 trolley, SEPTA bus, MFL trolleys, 34 trolley, 40 and 44 buses, 13 trolley. We have a lot of variety, actually.
Yeah,
that's bus, trolley, MFL, subway.
That's the thing about West Philly. It's the greatest variety of different kinds of transit anywhere in Philadelphia.
Yeah, that's awesome to see. I think it also puts us in a good place to talk about, just kind of what we're doing. I think we're really trying to dive into what riders of all modes, not just regional rail riders, think about all of these projects and particularly regional rail. So I think you could probably go on to the next slide. And then even the next slide. So we're kind of, as you've already seen from the chat, we've got SEPTA has, a plethora of services that we're giving, particularly in West Philly and the greater Philadelphia region. So that's kind of what we're here to talk about today. And it's really part of our strategic plan, SEPTA Forward. So the plan sets a vision for a lifestyle network of all day, all week, frequent and integrated services that connect people across a range of places around the region. So it's really something that all these projects are building towards. So if you go to the next slide, you'll see that sort of visualized. So this plan sets up 3 projects of significance that touch all 3 of SEPTA modes. So it's buses, rail transit, which is what we're referring to as Project Metro, and what we kind of know as trolleys, the MFL, the BSL. And then we're also working on Reimagining Regional Rail, which is our regional rail master plan. All 3 of these projects are based on, these kinds of meetings, these robust kind of outreach efforts to really upgrade our operations and meet those changing transit needs that SEPTA Forward and this lifestyle network are addressing. And so the purpose of them is really to make, the problem statement there was, how do we make SEPTA more useful for more people? I mean, we've already got lots of riders, but how can we serve the region better? So I'll kind of go over quickly our other projects, not Reimagining Regional Rail, but Project Metro. So Project Metro is our plan to unify those rail transit services, the MFL, the BSL, the Norristown High Speed Line, all the trolley routes, including the 101 and the 102, into one single easy to use network with new maps, signage, and communication and wayfinding. So the goal really is to make, these what seem like disparate systems accessible and easy to use and integrated for everyone. So that's what the Project Metro is. You can learn a lot more at planning.septa.org. And you can also, so we'll also talk about bus revolution. Sorry, you can go to the next slide. So, as a lot of people may or may not know, buses carry nearly half of all SEPTA riders. It's sort of like the, it's the backbone of our system. And our bus network, kind of what has happened through history, given that the bus networks are sort of legacy lines or legacy routes, they end up being one-seat rides. They accommodate one-seat rides, and they really kind of follow old trolley routes and trolley lines. So it's rooted in a historic system. And so that's something that we're working on right now with Bus Revolution, is to redesign it so that it meets changing travel needs. So we're trying to align those services with the changes that we're seeing in the city and the region. We're trying to improve legibility of the bus system by making it more frequent and a little more straightforward and gridded. And we're trying to improve speed and reliability. And I think one of the biggest things here is that reliability that makes the system more useful. So you can go to septabusrevolution.com to learn more about that. We're doing some really exciting stuff is coming this next year. Everything we heard from this process is going to be implemented. So yeah, please, check out the website if you want to learn more. It's a really great project. So, now we can really talk about some of the things that we're here to dive into, which is, regional rail. One of the things we really heard overall is that our system could be better integrated. One of the things that we heard was that we could really improve people's experience by integrating Metro, bus, and regional rail, and identifying those locations where we can overlap. So one of the ones where we heard that was one of the biggest issues, that integration, was regional rail. So Reimagining Regional Rail is a project that's going to create a vision of what that future regional rail looks like by identifying infrastructure, equipment, operations, and policies that we need to get to that better system. So what really is, regional rail right now? Right now, it's a system that connects suburban areas and parts of Philly to Center City. It does a really good job, for a lot of people, serving 9 to 5 commutes. We used to have, before the pandemic, we had 132,000 people running a day. And it really worked for a lot of people, but I think the point here is that we need to reimagine what this looks like and what this really does. So if you go to the next slide, you'll see that in parts of West Philly, so from West Philly, it's actually one of the fastest ways to get into Center City. However, because of our fare policies, our schedule, and that lack of integration, it doesn't always allow people to take advantage of this. And it kind of, as you guys kind of saw, there's all these different modes that you can use that may or may not be faster or more efficient. So this project is going to address the issues head on. If you go to the next slide, it's going to address these issues head on and put everything on the table. The whole purpose of this is to serve more people, integrate regional rail with the rest of SEPTA, and really create a more frequent system. And I'll let the presentation come up in a second, just so that the consultants can introduce themselves. But basically, I'll kind of keep going until that's back up. We're doing this it's not just an internal SEPTA project. We're working with a team of experts who'll present themselves in a second. But they'll really help us tell the story of how we're addressing what we heard and how we're incorporating that into scenarios that we want you guys to really give us your thoughts on. So I'll wait for the presentation to come back up, but it'll start with introductions from the consultant team.
Yeah, so I'm Christoph Spieler with Hewitt-Zollers, and I'll take a moment and let the rest of the consultant team introduce themselves, starting with Theresa Carr.
Hi, everybody. My name is Theresa Carr. I am with Nelson Nygaard, and I'm the Deputy Project Manager from the consultant side for this project. Roseanne?
I am Roseanne Lubeck. I am with Connect the Dots. We're a public engagement firm, and I am working on the public process for this project. Lily, do you want to introduce yourself?
Hi everyone, I'm Lily. I'm also from Connect the Dots. It's really good for everyone to see everyone here.
Okay. And I think that's everyone we have here today.
Okay, give me a second here. I'm having a slight technical.
Let me know if you need me to share my screen instead, Christoph.
If you want to share your screen instead, go for it.
Find what it is that you are looking for. Okay. We are on, sorry. There you go.
Okay, actually, I think I've got mine working.
All right, I can flip through real fast. There we are.
We are seeing your presenter view.
Oh, I'm sorry. This is, how many years have we been doing this, guys? Sorry. Let's go right here, yeah? So presenter view?
Okay, I think maybe I should go back to sharing mine.
Okay.
Sorry, everybody. Okay, so we thought it was worth talking through what the regional rail system is because we know some of you use it and some of you don't. So regional rail offers direct one-seat connections from across the region to Center City, as well as to some other key destinations like the airport, University City, and Temple University. For example, from Overbrook, you've got trains to Center City every 15 to 30 minutes at rush hour. Middle of the day, a lot less frequent, about every hour in the middle of the day, evenings and weekends, and those trains run from about 6 a.m. to midnight. From Lansdowne, trains every 20 to 30 minutes at rush hour, which stop at Angora and 49th Street on their way to Penn Medicine to Center City and beyond. Most of those trains make every stop along the way, but there are also rush hour express trains that skip some of those stations, especially stations closer in to offer faster service for the longer commutes from the suburbs. Generally speaking, the trains have a lot more seats than subway or L trains, and generally it's been designed so that most riders can sit down. Nearly everybody gets a seat. There's less room though for bikes and wheelchairs. And when people are boarding at stations, you often have to walk up steps because we have low platforms that people are boarding from. Payment is by a SEPTA key card. You can pay at the station by tapping your key card, or you can also pay cash to a conductor on board. If you're riding to Center City, $5.75 from the outer parts of West Philly, or $7 if you pay cash. So it's interesting when you compare this. From Angora, for example, we want to get to Temple University. Regional Rail will take you there in only 25 minutes with 0 transfers, compared to if you take the trolley in the Broad Street line, it'll take you 40 minutes and you have to change trains. However, Regional rail only runs every 60 minutes, whereas the trolley runs every 15, and regional rail will cost you $4 versus the trolley costs you $2. Another issue with regional rail is many of the stations aren't accessible. In this case, that's true of the trolleys as well. So you see how these two different parallel SEPTA projects are actually looking at improving these two different trips. And with that, I'll hand it off to Theresa to talk about goals.
Thanks, Christoph. And I do want to spend a couple of minutes talking about goals and also walking you through the 3 scenarios that we have developed. I'm going to walk through them at a fairly high level and pretty quickly because that's the emphasis of our discussions in the breakout sessions. So bear with me. We start with the 3 goals. So the 3 goals that we are trying to accomplish through this regional rail master plan. They are focused on the rider experience and our vision for how we want regional rail to serve people. And these are that we want to increase and improve access to opportunity. We want to prioritize an intuitive rider experience through a seamless and welcoming system. And we want to create a reliable, predictable regional rail system that people can really trust in. And so we have built these 3 scenarios for how regional rail could adapt and to serve more people. Scenario 1, which we call regional coverage. Scenario 2, which we call metro frequency. And scenario 3, which we call all-day speed. And I'll go into these in a little more detail next. So each possible scenario would serve people in West Philly a little bit differently. Scenario 1 is what we call regional coverage, and it means that we're providing 30-minute all-day service everywhere. All stations have service every 30 minutes all day, which we define as between the hours of 5 a.m. and 1 a.m. Lansdowne and Overbrook have express service to the center city. And in this map, you can see that some parts of the system actually have 15-minute service frequencies because they are served by multiple lines. So that's really in the core of the system. Scenario 2 is what we call metro frequency. And here we're looking at high frequency service that's in a SEPTA metro style. And this is in the area where demand is highest. So Overbrook and Lansdowne and Gora and Darby have trains into Center City every 15 minutes all day defined as the hours of 5 to 1, just like scenario 1. And then lower frequency lines have service every 60 minutes all day. So this is really a trade-off of prioritizing frequency in those parts of the system where the demand is highest, and then allowing lower frequencies in the other parts of the network. Scenario 3, what we call all-day speed, is providing all-day express service that is better integrated with Amtrak. Now, most stations would have service to Center City every 30 minutes all day under this scenario. So similar to scenario 1 in that aspect. Overbrook, in this example, also has express trains into Center City, connecting to Lansdale all day. And there is that better integration with the Amtrak service, which we can go over in a little more detail in our discussion sessions. There are many aspects of regional rail that we are looking at that are on the table, things that could be changed. And I think it's worthwhile for me to read through this list really quickly. We're looking both at the frequency and the span of service, the type of service, local, express, the relationship both to Amtrak and New Jersey Transit, local transit connections. So what does the service look like in the integration with the local bus network, for example? Upgrades to the infrastructure, both along the lines and at stations, station improvements, and here we look at things like accessibility and access, the train equipment itself and fare policy, the operations, the staffing, what does it take to run this service, extensions and new stations like infill stations, Infill stations would be maybe old stations that used to operate but no longer have service, or places along the line where a new station might make sense. And then the business model. How do we make the case for running the new service and the transformational changes that we're discussing? And now Christoph will take it back.
Sounds good. So basically what we're seeing here is we are creating a long-term vision. The maps Theresa showed you may be decades away in terms of fully implementing them, but we are also looking to see what can be done quickly. There are opportunities to change schedules even within the existing infrastructure and have better all-day service. There's opportunities to integrate fares between modes more, possibly lower fares within the city of Philadelphia to match transit fares. There are opportunities to plan infrastructure projects which are already in the works to provide opportunities to improve service. And then in the medium term, maybe 5 to 10 years, we're going to be looking at new equipment because a lot of the regional rail equipment dates back to the 70s. So here's a chance to buy new trains that are suited for this new kind of service we're talking about. There's a chance to get station upgrades done, infrastructure upgrades. And so in that term, we think we could start to see some of these lines get that long-term service vision, start to implement more frequent service across the system. And then in the longer term, we want to aim towards that total vision for the entire network. So the goal here is to have an ambitious long-term plan, but the goal here is also not to wait to make changes we can make now. So all of these scenarios are envisioning different kinds of regional rail systems and greatly improved regional rail systems. And that's what we want to talk to you about in the breakout groups. So what we're going to do now is we're going to break out and turn this into a discussion, as you'll have a note taker and a host in each room facilitating a discussion about the specifics of these proposals. You'll have a chance to offer input and you'll have a chance to ask questions.
Okay. I am going to, Reverend Williams, did you want to say something now, or did you want to wait until we jump into the rooms?
You made up a point, thank you for asking me to say, you made a suggestion, what would we like to see in the future? Is it a way that you can put on the drawing board, make a ramp besides the elevators? But lots of times these elevators are not working and the seniors with wheelchairs or disabled workers cannot get on. They stay and wait for the bus, and that's so inconvenient for them. So I'm wondering if they could put a ramp somewhere beside the elevator so the wheelchairs can come up and people disabled like veterans myself can come up with a rail and walk right onto the elevator, the train. Thank you.
I think that's exactly the kind of comment we want to hear in these breakout rooms. And thank you for giving us an example of exactly why we're having this meeting, because nobody understands the system as well as the people who actually ride it and live around it. And the answer to that question is probably, in some cases, we definitely can. And I think that's something we can definitely look at when we are making our proposals for station upgrades.
Thank you.
So
I
with
am
that,
going to open the rooms and send everybody in, and we will see you there. Christoph, did you get your invitation?
to join a breakout room, just a sec, maybe I just did. No, which room should I be joining?
Join room 1.
Okay.
I will be there as well. All right, Kate. Good luck. Looks like these are the people who haven't clicked their thing, so they're not on right now. But when they are there, they'll go through.
Hey, could you put me in another breakout room? I guess I'm supposed to be jumping around.
Do you know if you were in one or two before?
I was in the one with Christoph and Roseanne.
Okay, that was one. Hold on.
Awesome.
How do I- Okay, you should have gotten the invite to the other one.
We would like to thank everybody for coming today. We actually have a couple more of these workshops coming up. But we are going to do a North Philadelphia workshop this Thursday, a Norristown workshop next Tuesday, and a Chester workshop next Thursday. So if you know anybody in those neighborhoods, or you know anybody who missed this and think it would be a good part of this discussion, please let them know about those meetings. We are also doing a transit talk on Tuesday, August 9th. This will be a general talk about the entire plan, and we'll actually be sharing some of the results of the evaluation of the scenarios, some of the metrics we've run about all of these scenarios, and what the differences are, what the different scenarios do well, as well as some more technical detail on that. That will actually be the final event in this round of outreach. What the team's doing after this is taking everything we've heard from the public, and we will condense these scenarios down into one master plan for the SEPTA regional rail system. And then we will come back to you before the end of the year and present what that plan looks like. We have a survey as part of this round of outreach, and if you have not done it, please take it. Regionalrailplan.com will take you right to the survey, and you can tell us about what you like and what you don't like about these scenarios and vote on your favorite scenario. So we appreciate all of the time you've put in today, appreciate all of the thoughtfulness of your comments and all of the good ideas we've gotten. And I'll pitch it back to Claudia for a final word from SEPTA.
Just one thing really quickly. I understand that the other breakout room got kicked out a little bit sooner than we had hoped. If you have any other feedback that you would like to share, please send it to planning@septa.org. We can accept that there and you'll see it. There's also some ways that you can share your feedback on that Get Involved page when you do the survey online. You'll go to the Regional Rail Plan, the Get Involved page on there, and you can fill out the survey from that website. So please do. Sorry if you needed a few more minutes to talk.
Yeah, I'll thanks, Roseanne. I'll put a direct link on the chat once I'm done kind of talking. But yeah, it's actually, you go to regionalrailplan.com and go to give your feedback, and you'll have both the scenario tool survey, and then you'll have a comment box, so you don't have to go anywhere else to let us know what you think. But yeah, so thank you so much everyone for joining. We'll be kind of doing these workshops like Christoph mentioned throughout the month, wrapping up in a transit talk, and this all will lead to that final vision. So please stay involved, let people know. Let us know any comments you have by going to our website, emailing us at planning@septa.org, or, and reaching out to us that way. So, yeah, thanks so much for joining tonight, and we'll see you soon.